Welcome to your Science News Bulletin. Today we're looking at some incredible discoveries that are literally rewriting history, from how our solar system was born to the very dawn of human innovation.
So, first up, let's head out into our own cosmic backyard. We've got two huge discoveries from our neighbors, Jupiter and Mars, and they're really shaking up what we thought we knew about the solar system's past.
For decades, one of the biggest puzzles for planetary scientists has been what's really going on deep inside Jupiter's atmosphere. What's hiding beneath those beautiful swirling clouds? Specifically, how much water, and by extension, oxygen, is actually locked away down there?
Well, it looks like a 30-year-old debate has finally been put to rest. Thanks to some brand new computer models that combine chemistry with the physics of how gases move, our whole picture of Jupiter is changing. The results are showing that our old assumptions were, well, they were way off. We thought the vertical mixing in the atmosphere was fast, but it's actually almost 40 times slower.
And here's the real kicker. These models show that Jupiter is actually 1.5 times richer in oxygen than our own Sun. Now, that might sound like a small detail, but it's a huge deal. It forces us to completely rethink our theories about how this gas giant formed, and that means we have to rethink how our entire solar system came to be.
Okay, so let's hop over to the red planet now. For about 5 years, there's been a big debate about a strange feature inside the Jezero crater. But thanks to some fantastic new data from the Perseverance rover, that mystery is finally solved. What we're looking at is, believe it or not, an ancient beach.
And this just paints such a vivid picture of how drastically Mars has changed. This feature, which scientists called the margin unit, wasn't formed by volcanoes. Nope, it's the real deal, the confirmed shoreline of a lake that existed billions of years ago, a lake that had waves lapping up against the shore.
Finding evidence of waves is incredibly important. Why? Well, think about it. To get waves, you need wind. For wind to be strong enough to make waves, you need a much, much thicker atmosphere than Mars has today. And, of course, to have a liquid lake in the first place, the temperature had to be above freezing. All of this is powerful evidence that Mars once had a climate that could have potentially supported life.
All right, let's bring it back home. From these massive discoveries out in the cosmos, we're now zooming into a medical breakthrough that affects millions of people right here on Earth.
So chances are you've heard of statins. They're an absolute cornerstone of heart health, a life-saving drug that more than 200 million people rely on. But there's a pretty common and painful side effect that often makes people stop taking them, and that puts their health right back at risk.
The problem is called statin-associated muscle symptoms, or SAMs for short. And for years, the actual cause has been a complete mystery. But now, using something called cryo-electron microscopy, which is just an amazing technique that lets us see individual molecules in atomic detail, scientists have finally pinpointed the exact reason for the pain.
So here's what they found. It turns out statins have an unintentional side gig. 3 statin molecules can actually team up and bind to a key protein in our muscles. And when they do, this little cluster acts like a doorstop, jamming a critical calcium channel permanently open. This causes a slow, toxic leak of calcium that ends up damaging the muscle tissue and causing that pain.
Seeing this happen at a molecular level is more than just a cool explanation. It's a complete game changer. It gives scientists a clear roadmap. They can now work on designing the next generation of statins that can avoid this specific interaction. You'd get all the life-saving benefits for your cholesterol without any of the painful side effects. And staying with medical news, we're turning to an absolutely incredible story of long-term survival that might just hold the key to finally unlocking the true power of cancer vaccines. Okay, check this out. Over 20 years ago, a small group of women with advanced breast cancer took part in a trial for an experimental vaccine. The result? It's just astonishing. Every single one of the participants from that original trial is still alive today. So, of course, scientists wanted to know why. A follow-up study found that these women's immune systems had held on to these incredibly powerful memory cells that could still recognize their cancer even after 2 decades. And all of these supercells had a specific signature on them, a protein called CD27. And this is where it gets really exciting. They took this discovery back to the lab. In studies with mice, just the vaccine alone only eliminated tumors in 6% of cases. But when they combined the vaccine with an antibody that activates that CD27 protein, the number jumped to 40%. And then, when they added one more T-cell booster on top of that, it skyrocketed to an unbelievable 90%.
So this suggests that boosting this very specific CD27 signal could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. It could finally help cancer vaccines become the powerful, effective treatment scientists have been hoping to create for so long. It really might be the missing piece of a very, very important puzzle.
And for our final story today, we're going to jump in a time machine and go way, way back to a discovery that's challenging everything we thought we knew about early human ingenuity.
Archaeologists in central China have uncovered an amazing collection of advanced stone tools that date back as far as 160,000 years. Now that is a huge deal because it pushes the timeline for this kind of technology in East Asia back by tens of thousands of years.
And one of the coolest finds is the region's earliest known evidence of hafting technology. That's the technique of fitting a stone tool, like a spear point, onto a handle made of wood or bone. It was a massive technological leap that gave early humans way more power and precision.
And we're not talking about simple, crude tools here. The evidence shows these people were master craftsmen. They were using really sophisticated strategies, like shaping the base of the stone to make it easier to attach to a handle, and using a clever technique where they'd strike a stone core against an anvil to get more control over the final shape.
So what does this all mean? Well, it basically flips the script on the story of human innovation. For a long time, the thinking was that this kind of complex toolmaking started in Africa or Europe and then spread out. This discovery shows it also developed independently in East Asia, proving that early humans in China were far more innovative than we ever gave them credit for. And that wraps up our science news for today. So we've covered some major developments, from getting brand new perspectives on our solar system's past, to solving a modern medical problem, finding renewed hope for cancer therapy, and opening a whole new chapter in the story of human innovation. Hey, if you found this update useful, we would really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more. We'll be back with another Science News Bulletin in 24 hours.